It's been kind of a mediocre division for a long time. I would say even during the Brady years, because the Patriots were dominant because they just took over that division and never looked back.
Might be too kind if we're being honest.
I'm being a little generous. I am.
Yeah.
But post Brady, it's been dominated by the Bills. They just basically took over the regime, and they have taken this division by storm, and it's been no contest. Last season, Buffalo finished 13-4. Miami Dolphins finished 8-9. Jets 5-12, and the New England Patriots at 4-13. All losing records outside of Buffalo. What are your thoughts? Broad thoughts over the whole division as we head into a new season here.
Yeah, it really has been the most predictable division for like the last 25 years. Yeah, because the Bills just took right over what the Patriots were doing, and it really hasn't even been close that many years. So yeah, Bills were really good last year. Again, 13-4. I think it was definitely one of their better regular seasons. I mean, they won 10 of their last 12 games, and their only two losses were Week 18, where they had nothing to play for, so their backups in. And if you recall that 44-42 loss to the Rams. So even in that one loss, when you're due for, you're usually every team's due for a loss, but when you're lost, you lose by 2. When you score 42 points, it's still a pretty decent loss, fantasy point wise too, especially. So yeah, I mean, it's theirs for the taking. I just don't see any of these teams unless something dramatically changes. When you look at the Dolphins, you say 8-9, that's fine, not too far off. And I don't know, it's hard to make out what they are. So they finished 8-9. The Tua injury pretty much derailed their season earlier in the year. They started off, they won their first game of the year, and then Tua got hurt week 2, and they were never able to get above 500 the rest of the year. So it's not like they were ever really even contending for a playoff spot. So I mean, yeah, and even when Tua played, it wasn't. They were fine. He was way better than their backup situation. They were fine. The Patriots are an interesting team. They were bad last year. Obviously, they have a new coach. They had 7 double-digit losses last year, but it was an experiment year. You had a rookie quarterback. But I mean, yeah, they could probably challenge Buffalo out of the other three teams. And the Jets, yeah, new head coach. They got lots of good names on their roster. Very similar to the Dolphins, lots of good names on their roster, but you just can't really trust them. And yeah, their quarterback situation, I'm sure we'll talk about later, is kind of iffy at the moment.
Well, let's start with the Bills. Like I said, 13-4 record last year. This year, they come in with the 23rd ranked strength of schedule. This is a playoff-focused team. I mean, the regular season really does not matter outside of seeding. It's the ultimate question of, is Allen going to be able to get over the hump? Much like we'll talk about next week with Lamar Jackson. But it's been the battle of those two guys trying to get past Kansas City in the playoffs. So I don't even know that division even matters to the Bills at this point. They know they're going to take it. It's all about how they're going to stack up seeding wise against the other division winners in this conference. They got a deal by signing Khalil Shakir to a 4-year deal worth only $13.25 million. So I'll definitely be looking to see what kind of a jump he makes this season. This team goes when Allen goes, and with a weak division and, in my opinion, a bit of a weakened Kansas City Chiefs, it looks like an AFC title game against Baltimore is ripe for the taking right here. Maybe a rematch of last year's game, this time as an AFC championship game. They did get Joey Bosa in the offseason. Maybe he can revitalize his career after an multiple injury-plagued seasons. I'd love to see a Bosa get back on the field and really do some great things on the Bills' defense. One game that I'm really interested in seeing, if things hold true and he doesn't mess up, in the offseason, is Stephon Diggs making his return to Buffalo in Week 5 with the Patriots. Being in the same division now, it's going to be interesting to see him battle it out against his old team. But for me, with the Bills, it's just that if Allen can will this team to a Super Bowl? It'd be one impressive feat because there's really not another huge star on this team. And he seemed to do really well last season without Diggs. It seemed like he had a lot more freedom at the position to get it to who he wanted to instead of having to force it to Diggs. And I hope that continues this season. But I do feel like they need some more playmakers. I know that the James Cook situation, I don't know. He was the only one that didn't get extended from last year. So I don't know if that's going to be a distraction. I don't think it will be a huge thing for Buffalo, but we'll see what happens this upcoming season. What do you got on Buffalo?
Yeah, I agree that I think Allen thrived a little bit more without a true number one. Um, I think James Cook is really good. I think he's a great pass catching back along with a runner. I mean, it helps take a little bit of the load off Josh Allen, who also likes to run. And he's just the Allen Cook duo. Like it scares defenses. It really does. And with that, you don't even need a dominant wide receiver. I mean, it would be helpful, but just the way the Bills operate, it's not. I don't think it's necessarily needed. Their defense, I just can't trust Joey Bosa staying on the field. I'm sorry. It's just when the Bills made that signing, I thought this is a. I know they played kind of. I mean, Von Miller is used as an edge, but Von Miller's a lot older. But I kind of viewed it similar to that, where Bosa obviously younger than Von Miller, but with Bosa's injury history, they're kind of on the same level of impact. I feel like when the Bills made that signing. So, but I mean, their defense is good. I mean, their defense has been good for a few years. It's just come postseason time, they're due for fourth quarter collapses, allowing the Chiefs to score at will. And so, like, I don't know if they need any more upgrades. I like their draft pick this year. I know I know he was just accused of sexual assault. That's also kind of fishy because because I think it happened a couple of years ago, and she just did that after he got drafted. Yeah, Maxwell Harrison, their DB. I mean, I think he's going to be he'll fit right in, and I think he'll be a big impact on that defense. But what I'd like to ask you, and this is what I'm thinking is, let's say everything goes exactly the same. Good regular season, losing the AFC Championship, likely to Mahomes. Let's say it's Lamar Jackson this time. Where does that put Sean McDermott? Because I view him almost exactly like Tom Thibodeau with the Knicks, where, I mean, the Bills were horrible, this century until he became a coach. And since he's become a coach, I mean, they've done nothing but make the playoffs, usually go on deep playoff runs, make it to the AFC Championship game. They just can't get over the hump. If they can't get over the hump again, do you tease the idea of a new coach, or do you don't mess with winning? That's usually my philosophy, is don't mess with winning. You got a good thing going, and how much better could you even do? But when it's the same result over and over and over again, it's the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It's interesting, but yeah, I think the pressure's on them for sure. But yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts on McDermott.
Yeah, I think McDermott's a great coach. Like I don't, I definitely see him as one of the better coaches in this league. I just think, it's not like he has a stacked roster like the Philadelphia Eagles coach. What's his name? Sirianni, yeah. He doesn't have a stacked roster that can just make up for any bad decisions that he makes. So any minor decisions that McDermott makes, the play against Baltimore, I believe last year, the fake that just snowballed in that game in the regular season, it was just a bad call. But it's obviously going to, he doesn't have the type of roster that's going to be able to make up for that. If they don't make it to a Super Bowl, I don't think they will make a change. I think Buffalo's pretty, I would say, loyal, or they feel like they're a pretty good establishment that they wouldn't just jump to conclusions and move off a guy quickly like that. I also think, like I said, it's just not a stacked all-time roster, and a lot of the heavy lifting is done by Allen and a lot of times Cook as well. So I think it'll be more on just the fact that the AFC has all the best quarterbacks in the league, and it's just really tough to get out of the AFC and win a championship. Are you big on McDermott? Were they?
I think he's a great coach. I'm just looking at it from the Bills' perspective. Granted, like comparing it to basketball with the Knicks are a huge market, and so there's more demand for Thibodeau. He's terrible, even though he's been your best coach
Right.
in 25 years, and you get him out. So yeah, Buffalo's smaller market, kind of seems more like a family culture. I don't see them. I think it would be wrong to get rid of him because I don't know where you'd find
Who
an
do you go
upgrade
to?
over him. Who do you go to? And yeah, but it would be interesting to see what they do. I mean, because you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. I'm not talking about coaching. Like I'm thinking like roster perspective. Like what do you do then if you get the exact same result as the last 5 years?
I mean, then you look at the GM. I think if that's the case, if you're looking at roster building, then it's on the GM. Did McDermott come in as the coach at the same time Allen started for them, like his
No,
first year starting with them?
no, because that was I think he was coach that year that Tyrod Taylor was. It was when they made the playoffs for like the first time in
I got you.
however many years. Tyrod Taylor was their quarterback. I think they lost to Jacksonville in the wild card round, but I think that was McDermott's first year.
Yeah.
I may be wrong, but I'm 99% sure he coached that year. I think it was his first year.
Yeah. So I feel like him and Allen together, they've been together for so long still. It just works. It's just like I said, the AFC is so strong once you get into the playoffs. They can run roughshod in their own division. I mean, when it comes time to go up against the Chiefs and the Ravens and all these top teams in the AFC, it's just it just I don't know that going after a new coach would be the right move because I don't know who like you said, who would you be able to go to outside of McDermott? Let's go into
I
the
will.
Miami
I
Dolphins.
will. I will say one. I'd like to just because one thing to conclude each team's discussion. I know we'll go over like win totals at the end, but I just like to get this out of the way now. But I went through like each team's schedule, thinking like what's some good and some bad in it. Honestly, for the Bills, I think they got a fantastic schedule draw. Um, their week one home games against Baltimore. So obviously, since they've won the division, they're going to be playing all the division winners, like the Chiefs, the Eagles are on the schedule and stuff. Baltimore. So they play week one against Baltimore, but then they do not play a team with a winning record until November 2nd. So they go basically the whole rest of September and all of October without playing a team with a winning record. 3 of those are divisional games, and 2 of those divisional games are at home. So they could almost have the division wrapped up, I feel like, come November, getting at 3-0, leading the division, and they could be like fighting for the number one, being the lead for the number one overall seed come November when they face the Chiefs. But even then, like even after that, they're like difficult games against the Eagles, the Chiefs. Forget who else is in there. They're spread out.
Cincinnati's in there.
Cincinnati's in there, but none of they're not back to back or anything like
Yeah,
that. They're all
yeah,
spread out. Like somehow they got a perfect draw with their schedule, so they really need to take advantage of that.
yeah. None of the teams in this division have a strength of schedule inside the top 20.
They're
So this whole
it's
division got a great
because
draw.
they're playing the NFC South. The NFC conference they're playing is the division they're playing. Excuse me, is the NFC South, who did not have any fantastic teams last year and some bad
No.
teams.
Let's get into the Miami Dolphins. This is a team that, if you're a Dolphins fan, I'd be scared just because I don't know what's going to happen this year. It could go horribly wrong. It could go, I mean, surprisingly right. But I think it all comes down to, can Mike McDaniel get control of his locker room? To me, he's on the hot seat this year. Enough is enough.
You see some report today about Asante Samuel saying that it's the whole organization is run like a little league team.
Oh my gosh! No,
Yeah, I just
I
saw
had
that.
not seen
I
that.
saw that right before we logged on. I was like, "Wow, this is good timing."
Yeah. I mean, he's literally admitted. McDaniel has admitted that players will just simply not show up to practice, and he tries to get them to come, and they just won't come. And you know exactly who the players are. It's the top guys, because guys at the bottom of the roster aren't going to be the ones not showing up. They're trying to get a spot on Sunday. It's guys like Tyreek Hill. It's all these top guys. It was Jalen Ramsey most likely, but now he's gone. And because of that, after trading Ramsey, they might have the worst cornerback room in the league, but they do have Minkah Fitzpatrick at safety to compensate. But for me, McDaniel's on the hot seat this season. Enough is enough. I don't know that he is enough of an alpha dog to be able to lead a team as a head coach. I think he'd be a great coordinator somewhere,
Oh, he
but I
is a
just don't know if a head
fantastic.
coach.
He has a fantastic offensive mind. Yeah, I'm not questioning that. I mean, that's why he got hired. But I was never on the. Oh, he's so quirky. He's so fun. Oh, like the Dolphins have such a great coach. There are so many people jumping on that early on. I was like, yeah, I could see it being fun for a couple of years, but I don't think it's sustainable. And sure enough, look where we are now. But yeah, he would be. He was a fantastic coordinator. I think he still would. I think he would be a good coordinator for somewhere. But yeah, as for leadership purposes, yeah, I don't. It's not a greatly run organization. Um, yeah, I know those surveys that come out every year, like the NFLPA, like about like I mean, it goes over all kinds of stuff like cafeteria and like training facility and all that. The Dolphins are like one of the highest rated teams, so that kind of tells you to be wary of any time. The best rated team might not be the greatest team to play for because you have too much freedom. Whenever you shouldn't, if you want to. I'm not saying you should have the Bill Belichick mantra of like off a general, but in terms of the McDaniel versus Belichick, you definitely want to be closer to the Belichick way of running things in the NFL. Mike.
Yeah. Well, and I just wonder if Miami's just a place that's going to be impossible to win at. There's a lot of distractions in Miami, and unless you have the exact right group of people, I just think it's really tough. You become accustomed to the warm weather down there that, even if you do make it to the playoffs, you're destined to face a Buffalo, a Kansas City, a Baltimore in the playoffs, and you're most likely going to be playing on the road in really cold, extreme cold temperatures. So I just wonder if this is just like a place that's going to be impossible to win at in Miami.
Yeah, and currently it doesn't help that Tua's injury history is not very fun to read. The whole Tua thing's so difficult because it's hard to tell if he's a good quarterback or not. He's definitely the best quarterback the Dolphins have had recently, and they definitely need him on the field. I mean, it doesn't help they've had some absolutely abysmal backups these last few years once Tua has been hurt, which has been a really huge organizational failure. When you have an injury-prone QB, you need to have a backup you need to have like a Joe Flacco or somebody in there who can step right up and hold the team afloat till Tua gets back. But yeah, Tim Boyle, yeah, he was awful. Tyler Huntley, not very good either.
Is Tua the best quarterback they've had since Marino? Like, is there anyone in between that you would say is better than Tua?
Excuse me. I would say, uh, yeah, because Tannehill peaked with the Titans. So I mean, Pennington and the few years Pennington was there, and Henne wasn't very good. So yeah, I mean, they have one of the longest, if not the longest, playoff win drought. I know they've been in the postseason, but winning a playoff game, I'm pretty sure it might be the longest. Yeah, look that up. But so things about Tua is yeah, they're horrible without him, but when he plays, they do have the longest. Did you look it
Yeah,
up
yeah, they have the longest win drought in NFL history, in the playoffs.
in the playoffs? Yep,
24 seasons. Yep.
24 seasons. Okay, so I mean, this is so like I said, so interesting looking at Tua. When he doesn't play, they're awful, but when he does play, they're not great. I think he's in the Kirk Cousins realm of quarterbacks, where when he plays, you're not going to be bad, but you're not going to be contending. And a perfect example, he is last 2 years, he's 16-2 against teams that are 500 or worse, and he is 1-9 against teams that are better than 500. And if you look at his stats also drop off significantly amongst the two categories. I think he's thrown, it was like 35 touchdowns in the against the 500 or worse, and just 13 touchdowns and 12 interceptions against the better teams. So, yeah, I mean they got guys. They got some really good guys. You got Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips on the defense, but they're also really injury prone. You can't trust them to stay healthy. The Tyreek situation, like we talked about, I don't. I would not be surprised if he gets traded sometime in the middle of the year. He could still even get traded within the next couple months or so. Um, yeah, I just think the good vibes that were there earlier with McDaniel are gone. My bold prediction is they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. I just think there's just too much going wrong right now that it's all going to come crashing and burning, and then they're going to do a full reset come next year. But I'd love to hear your thoughts because it might be different than mine. Because that is, I feel like that is a bold take because they're kind of slated in the league average right now, but I think they're going to be really bad next year,
No,
mostly due to injuries.
I'm totally on board with that take. If you're betting futures for this team, bet the under on wins. As a little preview to what we're going to be getting into the over under win totals, but I take the under at all times. I would not bet on this team. I would always bet against. Now their defensive front, I do want to mention that with Jalen Phillips coming back from IR, he missed all but 3 games last season with a torn ACL. If you put him alongside Chop Robinson, who had a higher pressure rate than the eventual Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jared Verse, you put him with him, you put him with Bradley Chubb, it could be one of the most disruptive defensive fronts in the league. I just think once you get to the backfield, I mean, once you get to the the secondary, it kind of is a little thin back there, even with Minkah Fitzpatrick. And then we're going to be on Tua concussion watch all year long. The scene from last year with the fencing, it was not a pretty sight, and I cringe every time I watch the Dolphins.
What do you think let's say everyone stays healthy the entire year. What would you say their ceiling is?
9-8.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the chances of them all staying healthy are slim to none. So, yeah, that's why I think it might all come crashing and burning this year. Forgot the schedule part. One thing I wrote down for them. We talked about cold weather. They're not a good cold weather team. They did luck out. They do not have to play Buffalo in December or January. They get them at Buffalo early in the year. Unfortunately, they do have to go to the Jets, Pittsburgh, and New England all in December and January. Buffalo usually is the snowiest place, but those other teams could also get really brutal in the winter as well. So, yeah, just wanted to throw that out there, especially Dolphins have always been regarded as a team that a lot of times plays bad depending on the weather, or can play really good depending on the weather. And it's because some of it's not their fault. They're put in a division where their 3 other teams in their division are all in the Northeast, and they're stuck in the hottest place, maybe other than Arizona, in the U.S. So
You'd almost think that a change with the Colts and Dolphins would be the smartest move in terms of region.
It probably would be, yeah.
But yeah, it's what I love about football is that with the scarcity of games and the elements, with the weather impact, schedules just matter more than any other sport in the NFL.